Hi there, I'm Preeti and I'm the head of engineering for Compass at Atlassian. Compass is a developer experience platform. It's a beta product within the Atlassian product portfolio. I've been leading Compass engineering for about 9 months now, and I've been at Atlassian for almost 2 years. I have about 20 years of experience across a breadth of engineering roles, and I'm here today to ask you, does your developer platform spark joy? And should it? This section is structured in three parts. We'll start out by talking about developer joy. I'll then introduce you to an Atlassian ritual called CheckOps, and I'll conclude with some stories from my own experience here at Atlassian. So let's get right to it. What is developer joy? I'm going to ask you to take a moment to pause, close your eyes, and think of a time when you had a lot of fun working on something, where you really felt that joy out of working with your team on something. When I think of it, the image that I conjure in my mind looks something like this. It takes me back to over 15 years ago when I was a new software developer working with an incredible team on a 1.0 product. Of course, it all starts with the team, it starts with the people, but that's a subject for a different conversation. And I've asked myself, why was this a joyous experience, right? It comes down to working with my team to solve difficult problems that had an impact for our customers. So I asked my colleagues, my teammates, my friends the same question, and it all boils down to one thing. Development teams get joy out of solving their business goals or meeting their business goals. And it doesn't matter if your customers are internal or whether your customers are external. So, what gets in the way of developer joy? Honestly, being a developer today looks very different from what it did, 15 years ago when I was working on my 1.0 product. With DevOps, uh, you know, a team's breadth of responsibilities has increased and it's changed. What this can often do is that it increases the toil that a developer faces, and this definitely gets in the way of developer joy. So just think about it. As a development team today, you are responsible for security, reliability, availability, observability, cost, performance. These are all things that you're talking about when it comes to operations. You also want to pay attention and stay on top of things that are related to your engineering craft, whether it's deployment frequency, incident count, code coverage, mean time to resolution. The list goes on and on and on. There are so many metrics that you care about and that you stay on top of. The good news is we have a lot of good tools in our toolbox to help us do this. That can also be a problem. So let's go back to these assumptions. We all know the well understood benefits of following the DevOps model. You build it, you run it. Ops is business critical and it's a high impact part of our work. At the same time, ops can be a source of toil. And any customer obsessed team wants to be proactive. You want to pay attention to trends and spot issues before they become incidents that impact the customer. With the variety of tools in our toolbox, it might look something like this, where you're keeping track of things across a number of browser tabs. Now, Atlassian we've undergone our own cloud transformation and we've had a journey in the last, a decade or so. What we have today is a really incredible and healthy platform engineering culture within Atlassian. Our platform engineering teams introduce a set of processes and rituals that help our application development teams be better. I'm going to introduce you to one such ritual called CheckOps, and it's one of my favorites. So, we talked about toil coming in from the variety of data sources. So, what CheckOps does is that it generates an automated weekly report with data from all of your different data sources. This report includes a summary which draws your attention to the most important pieces of information from the last week. And so this is empowered by the Atlassian platform and it's completely automated. The beauty of it lies in the fact that there is no manual overhead. Generating such a report is only half the battle, right? Anybody who's tried to build a new habit, think of all of those New Year's resolutions, knows how hard it is. So the secret here is tying it to an existing ritual. So what we do on our teams and many teams at Atlassian is we tie checkops to our on-call handoff. So every week my team has a 30-minute checkops meeting. The incoming on-call team, the outgoing on-call team, and all of the developers who own those services all get together for 30 minutes and look at this checkops report. The meeting is action oriented and focused on continuous learning. This means that we don't solve problems in this meeting necessarily. We look at the report, we create actions, and we work on it asynchronously. So what you've seen is that this report is generated by the platform. So you can think of it as governance, right? So essentially, our platform teams have done a lot of research. They put a lot of work into what's important and they introduce a set of standardized processes so that an application development team doesn't need to rethink all of this over and over again individually. Uh, this is a great way of reducing toil for your development teams. So if you look at it, there are two layers to it. One is governance and one is customization. Let's take a specific example for governance. Atlassian has an incredible security engineering team. This team creates a security scorecard, and every product at Atlassian gets a security scorecard. As an engineering leader, I am held accountable for the security scorecard for the products that I own. This is a fictional security scorecard. 40% is obviously really bad. Um, what this does is that the security team is able to have a standardized set of things that every team cares about. For instance, the things in our scorecard look like open source vulnerabilities that are breaching SLO, compliance violations, or some security actions that are assigned to a team but the team hasn't gotten to. The beauty here is that because this is standardized by the platform team, there's a lot of research that goes into what criteria are part of your scorecard, and this keeps evolving. From an application development team's perspective, this is all built into their checkops report. So, they get to see it every week and they don't need to figure out how to measure all of these themselves. So, governance is great. This is a great way of doing things. One of the drawbacks in our homegrown checkops tool was that there's no way to customize this checkops report. And through our own growth within Atlassian, we've come up with all of these homegrown tools. We've taken all of our learnings and we've built a developer experience platform in Compass that solves all of these problems and does something even better. Let's take the example of checkops. What we've done is that the platform is introducing the ability to customize your checkops reports. Your dev teams, they know the problems that they need to solve, and the platform can empower them by providing this customization and then use the same ritual to take the toil out of managing all of this. I'll share an example. On my team, we have a goal right now to bring our test time to less than 5 minutes for all of our tests. And we've settled with this number and this time because we really want to improve our local dev loop. So this is the type of customization that matters to my team, but that might not be important for a different team because they have a different set of priorities for themselves. What your platform can do is to provide this customization by allowing by supporting a set of custom metrics and a set of custom scorecards that utilize these metrics to create different criteria. So a checkops report in Compass looks something like this. It includes all of our scorecards from the governance layer that the platform teams are creating and enforcing, and it includes customized scorecards that I have created for my own teams. So again, this is automated. This is generated with with data from a number of different data sources. I can create actions right here, and then I also can get a pulse of the health of my team. So let me give you some examples of checkoffs and how this has been helpful for our team. Any development team wants to make sure that they are investing into their operations. They want control, they want the ability to influence things, right? So with incidents, what happens is your priority is on resolving the incident and getting your customer back to business. You then analyze what went wrong. You have some high priority actions that come out of it, and of course these get scheduled right away and they get addressed right away. You might also identify some improvements that you need to make within your code when you've analyzed this incident. If you're anything like us, you're constantly prioritizing and juggling this backlog of items, right? So, rightfully, you might have some outstanding improvement actions that you haven't had a chance to address right away. What checkops does is that it improves this visibility by giving you the list of outstanding actions right alongside the data from your last week. This could be data from incidents, from alerts that went off. And when you're looking at all of this together, it makes it so much easier to identify an improvement action that needs to be prioritized to prevent issues in the future. So, really, what you're doing here is providing visibility. Let's look at another example of visibility. And this is with open source vulnerabilities. Any team that uses open source software knows that we have a responsibility to our customers to stay on top of security issues. Many times, these open source vulnerabilities and these issues can be managed in a different backlog, and that's not part of your team's development backlog. Of course, you can clone those issues and track them in your backlog and so on. But sometimes what happens is, with all of your good intentions, you might miss an upcoming deadline. And then when you realize it, you add that into your sprint and you address it right away. But the problem here is these interruptions can derail your sprint. It happens once in a while, it's fine. But if it keeps happening, this can really take away from your team's sense of joy and fulfillment that comes from meeting your business goals. So again, with checkops, what we do is we provide a list of all of the upcoming vulnerabilities within the next 14 days. This is one more example where visibility really matters. And so you are proactive, and once you schedule this, you're no longer caught by surprise in any of your sprints because of an upcoming vulnerability deadline. Another example from checkops that I've seen here at Atlassian is paying attention to costs. Any team that uses a cloud provider knows that you need to stay on top of costs. I remember this one checkops meeting where we noticed that one of our services, its cost had gone up by about 15%. So we took an action from checkops to go investigate and figure out what happened. We realized that we had made a change in a different part of the stack that impacted our auto scaling rules, and then this resulted in a cost increase. Of course, this was a high priority action and we addressed it right away. But really, what I want to call your attention to is the fact that all of these different examples, providing visibility into incidents, into vulnerabilities, into cost, all of this uses data from different sources, and it's all powered through checkops. And this really takes away the toil from a development team and having to stay on top of these things, and it helps them be proactive and promotes developer joy. This is just one such example of how your platform can promote developer joy. I also recognize that the problems that we have may not be the same set of problems that you have, right? I'd love to learn from you. What problems do you have and how do you solve them? Here's my LinkedIn if you'd like to connect. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen. I hope you have an amazing conference, and thank you to the organizers of PlatformCon. Take care.